So we've been in this series here, if you're new with us, called Just Say Yes. And it's what Jesus invites us to. He invites us to come, follow, and it's a big invitation, and yet we stand off a little fearful, like who would ever say no to God? And yet we do every day, even as believers. We say no in so many little ways, and it's like we don't know what holds us back. It's our fear, our desire for control, or we don't want to change. But I just want to say thank you to the teaching team. We're getting ready to land this bird and finish up on Easter with the greatest yes ever, which is Jesus' yes to God, his Father, and yes to you and me. And this is what we'll be teaching about on Easter. And so anyway, thank you, teaching team, for such a great depth, and thank you for how you're responding, sons and daughters, to God's call. Lives are changing. People are beginning to trust him more and follow his lead. I had 2 people last week come into my office, make appointments back to back. Didn't really know either one of them when I made the appointment. They both asked me to fill out a reference form because they were saying yes to God. One to chaplaincy, the other to medical missions overseas. And it's like, oh, I'll fill that out every day, all day. Just say yes to God and I'll fill it out. So I was pumped. I go, that's my best day this week. Let me just say this. Putting a smile on God's face ought to be our greatest desire, our greatest pursuit, and our greatest reward. Like making God smile. Isn't that cool? It's just like I think about it, I go, I want to do that. Like if I don't do anything else today, I want to put a smile on God's face. I want to be proud of me. I'm going to pursue it. God, what do you want me to do? And then when I see it, or I feel it, it's my greatest reward. Like, you can't pay me to do, I just want God's smile on my life. And that's what it is to say yes to Jesus. It's like, Lord, I trust you. Do what you want, do what you will. Have your way with me. And for those who are scared, it doesn't make you weird or religious. It's really what makes you beautiful and powerful. Saying yes to God, your creator, the one who made you, is what makes you come alive. Everything else is striving and chasing after the wind, as Solomon said. Everything else is just, smoke and mirrors, really. Living under the shadow of his wing, walking so close that the dust of his shoes get on yours, and enjoying a deep, meaningful, personal relationship with God is what we were created for. He will never fail you, and he will fulfill what he has set out to do. No one will thwart his plans, and even the bad and painful things that you and I face, he will turn them into good. Those are his promises. Like, who would say no to that? In the right mind. Age is of no regard. Gender, race, strength, beauty, or wealth. IQ or GPA, doesn't matter. All are welcome. And God will take the seeming low things of this world and make them into something special and beautiful. You don't have to be a super special anything. You don't have to be super smart, super gifted, super talented, super loving, super disciplined, organized, or healthy. God invites fishermen and tax collectors and soldiers, prostitutes, old guys in the Bible, not guys like me, teenage girls, even kids, to do his will. Abraham and Moses were 80 plus when they said yes to God. David, Joseph, and Mary were teenagers when they said yes to God. Samuel and little Joseph were kids. Joseph, the son of Jacob, that had a dream when he was a kid that he would. They were kids. God said, I have a plan for your life. And they said yes. And they went through all kinds of stuff. Thrown in jail, falsely accused, forgotten. They just said yes and kept trusting that God was working his will out in their life. And they changed the doggone world. Just normal kids like you, normal people, fishermen. And so today I was thinking, I've got 1 week, next week Otto's preaching. Then we have the second, which is our last week, and we have Easter. And I'm going, I just want to give you a big shot in the arm, encouragement, and pray that you just have the courage to say yes to Jesus. It's your best day ever. Like, don't waste another day holding back. It's time for the children of God to lean in, heed His voice and His calling, to trust Him, to say yes to your Heavenly Father. It's time you said yes. To stop wavering in doubt or mediocrity, lukewarmness, or occupying a seat in the stands. Get out of the seat and become a player in the game, because this life, you get one shot at it, and you're going to go out of here Monday through Saturday, and you're either going to live for Jesus or you're going to have the jersey of the world on you and try and find your identity, your self-worth, and your purpose out there. I mean, this is why we gather, to remind ourselves of who we are. Saying yes to Jesus is walking in your true identity. It's being who God created you to be. It's fulfilling the very purpose for which God created you in the first place. This is what saying yes is. It's like, who would say no to that? Let me go find something else. There's nothing else better. There's nothing else more important. There's nothing else eternal. There's nothing else that's going to fill you, because you were created for that. And everything else is going to leave you empty and dry, and you're going to keep searching and striving and trying to become and be like them and join this club or this group or fix the outside of the cup. Oh, let me just work out and put some makeup on. It's like, it doesn't fill the void that you were created for. The only thing that will do that is your yes to Jesus, your Creator. It's like, and then you don't know what the future is, and that's the fear factor. It's like, I'm not in control. Oh, dang. What's He going to make out of me? Is it going to make me weird or religious? No, it's going to make you powerful and beautiful. It's going to set you alive. If you can learn to trust Him, that's all He wanted. You of little faith, will you not? And how long do I have to be with you? How many days do you have to sit in church? How many years do you have to walk in your Christianity before you finally trust me enough to say yes? Whatever you want, I will make room for you. We just sang it, right? And so I want to encourage you to say yes today, like all in. It's not about going into full-time ministry. It's not even primarily about doing anything. It's primarily about being in a right relationship with God and letting Him do it, and you just say yes every day. Put a smile on His face. Walk with Him. Enjoy His company. Invite Him to go to work with you in the morning. Sit next to you at your desk, or as you roll into the car to fix it, or whatever you do in the classroom when the kids are going nuts. Jesus, I'm glad you're with me, because I'd be going nuts if you weren't, right? It's the difference He makes in our lives that makes life, so much better. Isaiah 55, I want you to hear Jesus and understand this. This is the Old Testament, but it's the Holy Spirit speaking through the prophet. Come, all you who are thirsty. Come to the waters, you who have no money. This is free. I have paid the price. Come buy and eat. Buy wine, woohoo, and milk. Lactose intolerant, but I can buy wine. No, I'm not, really. I like them both. Come buy wine and milk without money, without cost. I've paid it all. Just come. Just say yes to my invitation. I will fill you. I will feed you. The feast that Mandy talked about. It's like, don't live on crumbs. Come and dine with me. The God was speaking all week. I stand at the door and knock in Revelation. The difference is, what do I want to come in and do in your life? Jesus says, I just want to come in and dine with you. Would you say yes to my invitation? Would you open the door would you just, you see, it's not about doing anything. It's about relationship with God. Can we just be what I created you to be in relationship to me, and I will do through you What no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived. If you would have the courage just to say yes. You don't have to do anything. Just keep saying yes. Let's just walk together. Just enjoy me, and I want to enjoy you. Put a smile on my face. I'm going to put a smile on yours because I'm going to do things that you wouldn't think possible. I'm going to show up and show off in your life. I'm going to carry you through the tough times that you didn't think you could survive. And I'm going to take all the bad and turn it into good if you will keep in the middle of the journey trusting me. And you'll fall in love with me. And I'm already in love with you. So he says, come, let's eat. Why spend your money on what is not bread? Why labor on what doesn't satisfy? Listen to me and eat what is good. Are you listening? Eat what is good, and you will delight in the richest of fare. I will satisfy your soul. You'll rejoice when everybody else is wondering why you what's the reason for the hope that lies within you. It's Jesus. And he's sovereign and he's good and he's got me. He's in me. He's with me. He'll never leave me or forsake me. He's faithful and true to every promise he made for me. Why would I fear? Listen to me and eat what is good, and you will delight in the richest of fare. Give ear and come to me. Listen, that you may live. Am I listening? Will I come? He said, you don't have to worry about anything. I'll do the heavy lifting for you. I'll complete every good work that I began in you. I'll fulfill that for which I created you. I'm the author and perfecter of every good thing and everything spiritual that's going to happen in your life. You just need to say yes and stay close. You know this passage, but I'm going to use it today because I'm just going to remind you of who Jesus is and what he said he would do in your life. Come to me. Come. That's his invitation. Come follow. Come experience me. Come when you're weary. Oh, it'll happen if it hadn't happened already. If it doesn't happen every day or every week of your life, come when you're weary, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and humble in heart. Wait. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Join me and learn from me. I will teach you, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls. I'm not going to beat you. I'm not going to get after it, crack the whip. I'm going to lead you, and I'm going to walk you through it. My yoke is light, my burden is easy. So, if you haven't had a lesson on this lately, the yoke that he's talking about here is a double-necked yoke. And 2 oxen carried it and plowed the field. And when there was a young, new trainee, the old, strong, wise one would carry the load, and the young one would just learn from him. Walk with him. And Jesus would carry the heavy load for you. That's what he says. Come and take my yoke. I'm going to do the heavy lifting. You learn from me as we walk together. That's all it is. The Christian life isn't hard, guys. What's hard is getting your response to trust him and say yes. Not just once at the beginning of the journey, but every day it's always trust. From beginning to end, the just shall live by faith. I'm going to keep trusting Jesus, no matter what it looks like, sounds like. I'm not going to live by feeling, sight, certainly not politics or, news media flashes. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to detour or deviate. So life is hard. It beats you down and conforms you into its image, which is a stressed out, worn out, burnout skeptic. Lost, confused, scratching for crumbs. Competing and comparing with others for meaning, identity, purpose, and value. Even those who are successful in this world are weary, and they feel the weight and the meaninglessness of life without Jesus, because there is none. Money won't give you a hug. Money can't do a miracle in your broken heart. It won't tear down the walls of bitterness and unforgiveness. Money will not usher you into heaven or give you eternal life. Money is not our Savior. His invitation again is to come and find rest. Let him carry the heavy load in your life as you trust him. He is with you, he is in you, and he is for you. I want to close on just 2 verses real quick. 2 Corinthians 4, and again, I want God's word to weigh on your heart. I want, as Jesus says, listen to me, and your soul will find rest, and you will delight in the richest of fare. Come, listen, give ear, give heed to my voice, to my invitation. Would you hear me as I ask you to trust me? So let me look at these 2 verses as Jesus says. Paul says this, he goes, I've experienced Jesus in such a supernatural way. He says, we have this treasure in jars of clay. Is my time up? I heard that. I see a clock. No, I got 2 minutes. Yeah. We have this treasure in jars of clay. We're in flesh. To show that this all-surpassing power, this is his testimony after walking with Jesus, is from God and not us. The power is from him. He's doing the heavy lifting. He's making us look super good. Yeah, we're hard-pressed on every side, but we're not crushed. What crushes the world without Jesus doesn't crush you and me, because we have hope, we have his comfort, we have his Spirit. We're perplexed sometimes. I don't know what's going on out there, but we're not in despair because we know who holds the future and who's sovereign over all the affairs of men, and no one will thwart his plans. Sometimes we're persecuted, but he's with us in it, not abandoned. Sometimes we're struck down, but we'll never be destroyed. So he says, so we fix our eyes on him, on Jesus, what is unseen. Not what is seen, because what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. In Philippians 4, the same Paul says, you see, I can go through it all because of Jesus. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. Here's the secret. Whether well-fed or hungry, living in plenty or want, I can do it all because Jesus is with me. It's him who gives me the strength every day to go through this world, fight the battles that we face, overcome them, keep having joy and peace because he's with me. This is what it is to say yes to Jesus. This is his invitation to all of us. And I'm dumbfounded that we would say ever no to that, but we do. You're not alone unless you choose to go it alone. To go your own way and say no to his invitation, then it is all up to you. It's all on your shoulders. Not only in this life, but when you face God, you'll have to stand as your own advocate and give your own defense for your own sin and choices. It is all up to you. That's the only other road. It's yes or it's no. It's Jesus in me, with me, through me, for me, and as my Redeemer and advocate, or it's just you against the world. It's you against a decaying, aging body. It's you who will have to stand and give an account for your choices. I mean, that seems like an easy choice, but we resist still. we resist. We think we can go our own way, do our own thing, do it our way, and it's like, well, you confuse me, Jesus would say. You say you love me, and yet you act like you don't know me. You say you trust me and you'll follow me and that you trust my ways are better. We sing it on Sunday, and then when you want your way, you push me out and you say, no, my way is funner. Your way is better, but I would rather have my way than your way today. And so today I'm saying no rather than trusting him. See, it comes down to those daily choices. And so sometimes I just get really confused. It's like, oh, wait, I want to serve on this ministry team. I want to be a leader of this. And I go, but yet you're confusing me. You say you want to do Jesus, but you're doing you. Is it Jesus or is it you? Who do you trust? Which way are you going? I don't know what to say or think or do. I'm confused. Because you're saying yes and then you're saying no. And how can salt water and pure water come out of the same mouth? How can cursing and bitterness? It's a confusing thing, our type of Christianity. The Christianity we've developed is we're in control, we're on the throne, we say yes to Jesus when we want to say yes to Jesus, when it's convenient for me, when it makes me look good, or here's what we do. I feel bad now about the bad stuff I'm doing, so, let me run over here and do a couple good things so I feel better about the bad things that I'm doing, because I'm confused. Now I'm confusing you. We're all confused. But if I do them in public, then you'll think I'm a good guy, and then it's like, this is Christianity 2021. Are we in 2023? What happened to me? Stuck in COVID still back there. Give me a cup of coffee. And I want you to hear my heart, because I think it's the heart of God. I ask God, give me your heart for your people. We're going to invite people to Easter in 3 weeks. We're not inviting them to a service to come and lip sync and sing a song and let's wow them. And you know what you're inviting? Eternity. You're inviting them into a relationship that will change their life. Every day you get to preach that sermon. Why do we wait until Easter to hand out a card? We ought to be telling people about, if we want this world to change, if you're concerned with the plight of the nation, with the plight of the world, with the culture, with where life is going, you're worried about your kids, sending them to school, raising them in this environment. You know, the only change is you saying yes to Jesus and taking Jesus with you to the world. And you getting as radical as it can possibly get without being weird. And then you don't worry about weirdness. You just go get radical for Jesus. And you tell people, because that's the only thing that's going to change this world. It's the only thing that changed it when Jesus asked Mary and Joseph to trust him. Or Abraham, go. I'll send you. I'm going to do something, and I want to use you. With Moses, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm saying yes. And the world was changed. People's lives were impacted and affected because of one person's yes. God's waiting for your yes so he can change the world. And we hold back as his people. And then we complain about the world. Christianity is not putting a bumper sticker on your life. It's not about making you a better human. It's making you a spiritual person. It's not about making you better. It's making you different. It's transforming you into something you couldn't be and can't be without Jesus, but what you were created to be. So let me ask you as we closed, do you trust him? That's the question. Do you trust him? Can you trust him with your dreams, your future, your choices, your mate, your career, Can you trust him with your finances? Can you trust him? The question is, bottom line, simple, very simple. Do you trust him? And if not, can you tell me why? Has he ever done anything that's been worthy of distrust? See, the problem isn't on his end. It always comes back to what's wrong with me. Why don't I trust him? Well, because I've been hurt by you. Okay. Granted, we've all been hurt. Betrayed, lied to, taken advantage of. But has he ever done that to you? No. So we project our hurt and wound, and you see, the world creates you, and you got to break out to who you're created to be and say, but that's not who he is, and that's not who I'm going to be. I'm going to trust him. And I'm going to go against all the fear factors because the enemy's going to poke all your buttons. Oh, no, don't do it. You're going to become weird or goofy or whatever. Can you trust him with your life? I ask you to watch this video as we close.
God spends a lot of time in the Bible telling us who we are. It's almost as if he knew that we would doubt who that was from time to time. It's as if he saw it coming, that we'd spend our whole lives searching for what our identity, what our real name was, and that there'd be many moments in our lives where we'd let different kinds of names define us. When we've looked in the mirror, compared ourselves to pictures, and heard the name ugly. When we've been left by loved ones, people we trusted once, and heard the name unworthy. When we've been drowning in discouragement, living in a seemingly never-ending crisis, and heard the name forgotten. When we've had our hopes up and our hearts open, only to be brought down by closed doors, and we've heard rejected. When we've looked for infinite, affirming love through lesser physical, fleshly versions. When we gave it away. Or when it was stolen and we heard impure, we heard garbage. When we go to other vices to ease our pain and we hear addict, we hear forever broken. When we feel like we're living in the shadow of someone else's calling and we hear second place. When our pain cripples us to a point where we don't even know how to let others in, and we hear lonely. When our past seems too gross for others to forgive, and we hear disgusting. It's overwhelming. These voices we're constantly hearing, it's suffocating. This air of constant critique and comparing, and it's sort of amazing. The people whose voices I've allowed to name me. The power I've given to my past, to my mirror, and to my surroundings, and enabled them to identify me. The amount of years I've spent living up to whatever others say about me. But God says something else about me. It's like he knew there would be other voices, so he wrote his voice down in a timeless book of truths that would remind us over and over again in the moments when lies would block his truths and somehow make us forget. So I'm going back to the source, not the people I've allowed to represent God to me, but the actual, literal, tangible words that he has written down for me. And there's some other names he's given to me. John 15:15, he calls me friend. 1 Thessalonians 1:4, he calls me chosen. Ephesians 2:10, he calls me his masterpiece. He calls me his art. He calls me handmade. He calls me purposed and fashioned for good things. 1 Corinthians 6:19, he calls my body a temple. He calls it the residence of the Holy Spirit. Acts 1:8, he calls me his messenger to the world. Galatians 3:26, he calls me his child. Romans 5:8, he calls me greatly loved. John 8:36, he calls me free. Free indeed. 2 Corinthians 5:17, he calls me brand new. And it's amazing how different these names are from the names I'm used to listening to. And in my journey to discover who I really am, in my battle to uncover the truths of myself, I've learned something new. about my name. And now this is what I am certain of. My name is not the name the world calls me. My name is not the name my past calls me. My name is not even the name my own mirror calls me. But my name is the name I choose to answer to. And I can choose today, from this moment forward, to answer to a new name. When I hear lonely, that's not me. When I hear disgusting, that's not me. When I hear unworthy, I don't even look over my shoulder. When I hear broken, they must have confused me. Please look elsewhere. When I hear ugly, abandoned, useless, forgotten, I figure someone just has to remind them. Maybe those were my old names, but they're no longer the names that I respond to. My name is the name I've chosen to spend my days living up to. And if these other voices are not saying the same thing that the truth is, I look in my mirror and I repeat this: they have no right to be speaking to you. When you stop answering to all your old names, they stop having power over you. The names that my Father, eternity's author, the world's creator has called me are the only names that I answer to. So when I hear friend of God, that's my name. Chosen, that's my name. Loved, wanted, created with a purpose, that's my name. God's temple, that's my name. God's messenger, that's my name. Child of God, you must be looking for me. Greatly loved, you must be calling for me. Brand new, that is my name. And that is a name that I will respond to, because the enemy has no power here. Perfect love cast out all fear, and perfect love has named me and you. So what is your new name? What is stirring up inside of you when you hear these words that His word, that the word has proclaimed? What do you know is the name God is calling you? Maybe it's not the name you grew up with. Maybe it's not the name your old friends associate you with. Maybe it's not the name that your whole life you were used to identifying with, but it's the name you now answer to. So when the enemy tries to get to you, it's just the name you introduce yourself with. As for me, my name is forgiven. My name is free. My name is brand new, loved, wanted, child of God, created with a purpose. And it's been a pleasure to meet you.
So, son and daughter of the living God, you will walk out your identity. Who you say you are, who you believe you are, and who He is in your life. Go introduce yourself to the world. I'm a son or a daughter of God. He calls me warrior, representative, ambassador, a sent one, a messenger, an apostle, a witness of His glory and His goodness. And I've experienced it. And if you haven't experienced it, if you don't know who you are, He created you. He knows who you are. Let Him tell you. Here at Outlook, we take communion. Here's what I want you to do today. This communion represents Jesus, yes, to His Father, and His yes to you, and His invitation that when we gather, we would say yes to Him. We would remember Him and what He did for us. And it would motivate and move and stir in us to say yes to Him more and more every day, that we're His. So as you get your elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, visitors, you're invited. Jesus is doing the invitation. Come to me. Let me tell you who you are. Let me fill you. Let me carry the heavy load. Come learn from me. My yoke is light, my burden is easy. You will find rest for your soul. You'll find power and strength and beauty in who you are. Stop chasing your tail. Stop standing afar off, fearful. or in doubt. And so as you take the elements today, here's what I want you to do. Everybody in the house that wants to say yes to Jesus, I trust you. I will make room for you. Not just a room, but be on the throne of my heart. And you govern, you Lord, you lead, you guide. I will learn from you. I'm taking on your yoke today. And so if you want to say yes to Jesus, I'm talking me to the person who walked in here for the first time not knowing what they were getting into. If you want to say yes to Jesus, let's stand right up here in the front. I don't care how many rows we have to move. Everybody who wants to say yes to Jesus today and the rest of your life, let's stand together and let him know it. Okay? Does that make sense? You pick up the communion elements and you stand right here at this altar with me because I'm saying yes. I'm not turning back. And I've experienced his goodness and his glory, and I know you have too. Let's stand together. Clear? Heavenly Father, thank you for saying yes to us. Call us by name, the name you gave us. Our original design, our true identity, our true worth and value are found in being sons and daughters of the living God, the creator of the universe. We don't want to stand alone before you, nor do we want to stand alone in this world, nor do we want to think that we know better and that our ways are better, your ways are right. We just need to trust you. Father, give us courage right now. Holy Spirit, fill this house with courage, the kind of faith that you looked for in your followers. You found in Jairus and said, I've never seen even faith like this in Israel. He just said, do you say it, Jesus, and it'll be done. Give us faith to believe and trust you with our lives, that you are completely trustworthy. And we give you our trust and our life. In Jesus' name, amen. So I'll meet you down here, and then we'll worship Jesus together. We'll let him know that he has a people that trust him, that will follow him.